10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Drag racing fans, go in that closet right now, grab that suitcase out, pack those bags, because baby, it is time to go racing in the 2021 race season. I am one of your hosts, Slammin Sam from Outlaw Performance ENT, and this is another Competition Plus Power Hour, but I am not alone. I am joined by my co-host, the Monday Morning Racer, Lee. How's it going tonight?
Stellar, man. Already talked with the boys of Going Bracket Racing earlier today, yakking it up with drag racing. Somewhat, for some reason, I've come back on this show to hang with you and chat drag racing, but we definitely have got some big guests tonight. First guest up will be Mr. Wes Buck, Drag Illustrated himself. And who's the second guest, man?
The second guest is Mr. Terry McMillan. And I mean, just great guest tonight. I'm super excited about it, super excited about the show. But as always, here you go, Lee. Here's your countdown, right? Hey, 2 days until Ducks race. Lights out, happening 2 days away. What do you think about that?
Always a big promotion, and it's, coming. I think Duck and his promotions, I imagine that they feel they want to get back on track. With 2020, it derailed things for them a bit. I know they got events in, but I don't think they had the year that they were expecting. I'm sure they're looking at 2021 to be a year to get back on track and move forward. Those events always have so much hype, and deservedly so. I'm expecting some great racing. I would not be shocked if we see some carnage of a car flying in the air after this weekend. And let me say this, I do have to agree with what Wes Buck says, as we'll have him on later on. We don't need a record to have a good Lights Out 12.
I knew you were going to say that, but I'm just going to say this. Creeping on the interweb already, even though I learned firsthand that you can't believe everything you see or read on the internet.
Yes, sir, you did.
As I got hauled a couple of weeks ago. But hey, I did see a time slip that really shows me good times are going to come out of this. I know we always say we don't need a record, but you know what? At this point, let's just kind of shut it up right away. Let's get it done. Let's get it out. Hey, let loose. After what we all went through in 2020, let it loose. Let the rods hang out the thing. Just don't oil down the track, because we know how much track prep it takes. But back to the countdown. 17 days till the Gator, 10 days to the Doorslammer, and we know we're going to hear about that, and 9 days till testing. So a lot of great things going on. Always remember, if you have questions for myself, Lee, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, our pit insider, Jeff, or the boss man, Bobby Bennett, and you want to ask them to us, you can get a hold of us at powerhourcp@gmail.com. Again, that is powerhourcp@gmail.com. We are on all major podcast forums, so if you want to listen to it back, if you're driving, you're going into an event soon, you want to have some good material to listen to, hey, we can help you out there. Yes, Scott, I did see that. Jason Lee did lay that down. Like I said, we are geared towards a season where a lot of people had time off, but they didn't really take the time off. They may have not been at the track, but they were in the shop working on their hot rods. They were ordering new parts. They were changing the tune-ups, changing the setups, trying some different things that they couldn't do, in the hustle and bustle of the season. But I'm looking forward to see what happens. And like Lee said, I'm going to agree with him early in the show, but we don't need records right away, but we're still good. If it happens, hey, we're all going to celebrate. And I know Duck is going to be happy if it happens at his event, because we all know the controversy that can come Monday morning. Lee, give me another topic to talk about, because I can talk about this grudge racing stuff all night
Definitely
long.
So, and it's popular and for all the right reasons, man. Another race coming up that's on my radar, I will be there personally covering the event, is the no prep shootout on the shutdown area at Darlington Dragway, the thaw out put on by Spooled Media and Palmetto No Prep, that's going to be happening as well. Man, drag racing is ramping up. And yes, we're going to be diving into nitro testing soon down there, Palm Beach International. And folks, keep your eye out right here on Competition Plus, especially Competition Plus TV, which is the YouTube portion of Competition Plus, because they will be live streaming nitro testing. You want to keep tabs out on it.
So live streaming nitro testing. And then, Lee, I got a question. Are you going down to Florida?
I'm going to be in Florida.
I think I'm going to be in Florida.
I think you're going to be in Florida.
I think I might have to get some shades in Florida, if you know what I mean. But will people see our face? Will you talk to me at the track, or is this just a long distance viral relationship that we've got going on?
Oh, I'll talk to you. But definitely we'll have to keep it on the down low so that people understand that, well, I don't always agree with you, and you're my co-host, which is great. But, I mean, it's not that you're that bright.
Wow. I shine bright like a diamond, just like the song says. Anyway, but hey, Lee, just so you know, we may put our hands on the first Slammy together in Florida. I want to know from the people in the comments, our great listeners that listen, that follow this show, that love what Lee and I do in the first part, who do you think deserves to hold the first Slammy up high down at Orlando Speed World in Orlando, Florida, coming up here in roughly 17 or in 10 days? Who do you think deserves to hold it up high? We want to hear from you. Hey, Lee, I want to talk about another person that maybe get mentioned here later, but I saw a couple of videos this week, again, that, you know, as Wes may say here in a bit, they give me goosebumps. But there was two videos. One was posted by the Steve Torrance camp of Dom walking back into that shop after everything that has gone on, you know, with his story and everything like that. And it's just, it said, this video is steps of hope and steps of faith. I get choked up talking about it, but just that story. And then Mike Carpenter posted a video of his dad taking steps down the hallway at their place, and Charles Carpenter. So we want to send our wishes and our prayers out to you guys to continue, you know, getting stronger, fighting that fight that you're fighting, and know that the whole racing community is behind you guys and that we support everything that you're going through. And we want to take those steps with you guys to a long road of recovery that you have ahead, but we are there for you. We are your family. So I don't know if you saw those videos, Lee, but that's two things. Like, in the racing community, we all have these moments where, you know, we get that heartstring gets tugged just enough, and those two really did stand out to me this week. What else do you got there, Lee?
Well, man, look, we all are here because we love drag racing. We want to see the sport move forward, but there's moments in life that are bigger than drag racing, bigger than our hobbies, bigger than our jobs, and those moments are portrayed in those type of videos. So it's definitely heartwarming to see people on the mend moving forward with life and what they're going to be doing. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what will be coming down the line with those two individuals, but I hope there will definitely be some sense of normalcy once again for them, and we can rally around those stories and be gleeful over, wow, they've come this far in their recovery. I certainly hope that happens. Speaking of people's involvement and recoveries and seeing someone come out on top, it's very interesting that going into this ramping up of the drag racing scene, and speaking of the World Doorslammer Nationals, and right after that, you've got the Gator Nationals, Alex Laughlin, well, as of right now, from what I understand, they're still looking for some sponsorship, not for the Doorslammers, but for the Gators in the pro stock side of things. that fascinates me with, in essence, the defending champion of the Gator Nationals, who is also a defending champion of the World Doorslammer Nationals from the Pro Mod side of things, that here is a star in NHRA ranks, and he cannot find a sponsor as of right now for the Gator Nationals. That tells you, I think, how tough it is out there right now for these teams.
And it sucks no matter what. I mean, in the situation, in the current environment that we're in with everything that's going on around the world per se, and especially in the racing community, we always seem to find, and if you scroll through YouTube, someone's going to nitpick at whatever they do. And it was said yesterday in a press release that, you know, Alex is a person who's not afraid to put himself out there, who's not afraid to market himself in a lot of different ways. And you can see that, you know, with the extension of the Havilland deal, with Power Built Tools, that has brought a lot of different things into the racing community. But like you said right there, how is someone like him, that is the defending champ of that race, someone who is very, very marketable, someone who a lot of people across the boards, from, like we said, the lights out racing to NHRA racing, how are we still not supporting these individuals? And I think it goes back to something that we said many a times on the show, and we talked about it last week. If you guys see this, or if you guys have ideas, reach out to these people, help them. You know, a lot of people may say, and I'm going to speak with Alex, oh, that's his parents' money. I can tell you one thing: if you have never followed any of his social medias, get on there. Look at how hard he works to get stuff. Look at how hard he works to market himself. He's putting different wraps and different ideas on his car week in and week out to make himself more marketable, to help get the return on investments for his marketing partners. I mean, Lee, I don't have an answer for that. I don't understand it. I can't wrap my head around it, but I think we are starting to see the effects of other things that are going on in our society right now.
Right. You know, from what I have experienced so far, what I've heard from other teams and drivers is that you have a lot of companies out there right now. They are waiting. They want to see, what is this year going to look like? What is this season going to look like? There's a lot of people predicting that some floodgates of the money gates, if you will open up towards the mid-season timeframe, mid-year, when there's a bit more consistency that companies are perceiving that may come, and they are going to be more comfortable letting loose of dollars in that type of marketing. But when I really wonder in this situation, has the NHRA got on the phone? Has the NHRA got on the phone with an Alex Laughlin? Has the NHRA got on the phone to try to find a potential, match and connection to get him there? I mean, he's the defending champion.
Pause. And the only reason why I say that, because standing at the bottom of a tree right now, we're barking up it. So if they are going to do that, I think we should focus. No, don't do this to me, Lee. I want to see your face when I say this. Don't try and do this to me. I think that's a great idea. Yes, NHRA, reach out. No, I don't agree with you here. I think that they should focus on paying our athletes, our competitors of this sport, what they should be paid, and going out and getting sponsorship for that stuff, finding more income there, and that I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to say there. Next topic.
No, hey, that's a great argument that overall, if the bar is raised, then and they're playing for more money, then arguably, more money may very well come in. And it's kind of like the old saying, you got to have money to make money. Well, money attracts money. It seems to do that. High rollers go and hang out with other high rollers. That's what they do. So
look at what
bring in more, and you'll have more.
Stan said something here in the comments. And
NHRA only cares about Nitro. If no Nitro, no fans.
But that's not true, because there's a lot of us that show up for the door cars also. Just because that is the only thing that we see predominantly on the TV screen does not mean that that's all we care about. But that is all that is shown. So we have someone actually that's coming on tonight that is very door car heavy. So I agree, but disagree with you, Stan. I don't know. I agree.
It does seem that the NHRA leans heavily towards Nitro. You are going to hear it. You know, I've heard Alex say it. I've heard Courtney Enders say it. I've heard Erica. I've heard Bo Butner. I've heard others from the Pro Stock ranks, you know, feel like they don't get quite the love that they should. I mean, if we go down the rabbit hole of how Pro Mod's being treated in NHRA, there's a whole episode in and of itself, and what their expectations and payout of qualifying and not qualifying. Yes, I agree with you. Raise that bar, period. And we might not be having some of these conversations that we're having right now.
I agree with you. Moving along before we chop too many trees down tonight.
Right. Well, hey, you want to bring Jeff in? You want to bring Jeff in?
Well, since we're talking, you know, Nitro, we might as well bring Jeff in at this point.
Yeah, he is Nitro. He got a little Nitro in. Definitely want to hear from him on getting a little Nitro in. And before we bring Jeff Arend, our pit insider, in on Competition Plus Power Hour, take a look at Competition Plus apparel and definitely get the swag.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant Doorslammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Mr. Nitro, the jeweler.
The jeweler, yes.
You guys aren't going to forget that, are you?
No. We're going to have T-shirts made up. We're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back, man.
All right. Sounds good to me.
We'll be your own fan club.
So what you guys got going on tonight?
Oh, man, we're looking forward to a great show with Wes Buck on, Terry McMillan later. But we got you right now, and you got to stomp on that loud pedal.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Del called me early in the week, and Del and I are pretty good friends, and I've driven for him a couple times before, testing with Alexis's car and stuff. And he just told me that she was kind of stuck in Texas and wasn't sure if she could make it, and asked if I was interested in driving. And before he asked the question, of course, I said yes. And then I thought about asking him, how come you're not driving it? Because he's probably the best funny car driver out there, in my opinion, anyway. But, for him, if he's in the car, it's hard to be out of the car. He can't be out of the car and watch what's going on. That's what he's used to. And that's how he makes the team better. And, to have a guy like Del call me up and ask, if I could drive the car, it's kind of a big honor, because it's a great team over there. Obviously glad to help them. And, it's just a really good time. It was a brand new car they had just got. So sometimes when you get a brand new car, it takes a little while to get it sorted out. And it took a few runs, but we got it all going pretty good. And I think they're going to be ready for Alexis to hop in it in West Palm Beach next week. And definitely made some good runs. So she's really excited about driving the car, I'm sure. And they're just going to pick up right where they left off last year. I mean, they were one of the best running cars towards the end of the year by far.
They definitely were. They were also one of the more flaming cars at the end of the year, too. I hope they've got that figured out. I know Dale wants it figured out for sure.
Yeah, I think that part, I think it ended up turning into probably maybe like a parts failure or something, or a substandard part. We're not going to mention whose it was or what it was, but there were a couple of teams that did have some issues last year for no reason, and I happen to know a few of them. And I made some phone calls to some people who ran the same parts, and they'd also had some kind of unexplained breakage. And while nothing's proven 100% for sure, the 3 teams that had some issues changed to a different manufacturer, and the issues went away and the car ran well. So, you can never blame one thing or another, but it seems like the problems are behind those few teams that had them. And, Dell's car for sure, and Justin Ashley's car towards the end of the year. I mean, both those cars could have won the numerous races after they got their issues figured out. So I think that's a thing of the past now. I know the runs that we made, even though we didn't make a lot of full runs, the parts look really, really good. And I don't think that's going to be a problem anymore.
All right. That's good to hear. Definitely good to hear.
So, Jeff, I know you said you didn't make any full passes, but do you think the car will still be a little bit faster with Alexis in it versus you, or what are your ideas on that?
So when we went testing, we went to Bakersfield, which is kind of a local track, and we had a private rental on the Friday. So there wasn't really a lot of cars running there. And we had a few issues, but I think they kind of figured that out. And then I went out there on Saturday. And if anything, a big testament to the Bakersfield people, the track was probably too good. It was definitely better on a grip meter and by feel than a national event. And sometimes that can throw you a little bit of a curve when the track's too good. And we had a couple of little things we worked on. And, by the end, we had made a couple of good early runs that were probably good enough to run a mid 390. But we got to the end of Sunday and we're like, we really need to get down to the track, down to towards the end of the track and see if all the issues are figured out. And we ended up running it to about 900 feet on the last run. The motor looked perfect after that run. So I think they're going to just be able to pick up right where they left off. And, we know the car goes straight. There's a lot of data they figured out. So it's going to be good for the whole team.
Well, we're glad that testing has went well out there on the sunny California side. We know we got testing coming up in sunny Florida for the Nitro teams here very soon. So, going to be at the Gators there, Mr. Arend?
Yep, going to be at the Gators, helping with Jim Dunn. I was over at their shop today, building some clutch packs for them and getting some stuff all sorted out. I think we loaded both cars, so they're going to be ready to go. Big Jim, he's always awesome to work with. He's, definitely a legend in the sport. Super nice guy, and I'm thinking we made some changes towards the end of last year that we can get that car kind of running where it needs to be, more into the 390s and a little more competitive.
All right, Jeff, looking forward to seeing you at the Gators. Definitely even look forward to seeing you next week back here on Competition Plus Power Hour with some good, juicy inside information.
Sounds good to me. Take care, guys. Have a great show.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks again.
So, Sam, we didn't
get the cigar of tonight.
We didn't. We didn't. Hey, I know this. He is enjoying one along with his Coors Light. I know that. And he is having a better time than all of us out there in California next to his fire pit. I'm sure he is. I'm sure. We need to do a show from Jeff's. That's what we need to do.
Hey, maybe we can talk to the boss man. Hey, if you're listening, boss, maybe Vegas and Pomona.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Hey, speaking of tracks, you mentioned before going live of the purchase of a track. I've lost,
Montgomery.
Where? Montgomery. All right.
Montgomery
so fill us in the details.
So that track got taken over by a new owner. And I know we've talked about this and we've had discussions. There's a lot of tracks that are either going for sale, change of ownership. And my question to you with this and the people out there, in the article, it read that, they expect to do a lot of different things and they want to change things, to accommodate the new racers and the people that are currently there. Do we expect a lot of these promoters and owners to come in and flip the track upside down? No. Is there changes that are going to happen over a couple of years? Yes. But you out there, the racing, and you, Lee, if you had a new owner come into your hometown track, what would your first stance be? Hey, we want you to do this.
Man, when I think of a new promoter coming in, a new owner coming in, though those can be different roles depending on the particular situation, a track being leased, something of that nature. There are tracks out there. I'm not sure of any drag racing facility that's like this, but I think of Lime Rock Speedway in Caledonia, New York. They are actually a club. No one person owns it. It's actually a racing club, and everybody basically has ownership into it. So there's some particularities depending on it. But you got someone buys a track, buys a facility. you definitely hope you're going to start seeing it progress and move forward. I hope that there is a racing background. I think of Antonelli. I think the owners of Lancaster Dragway, New York International Raceway Park, it was going downhill, downhill, downhill. It looked like it was going to be lost. And when I mean lost, like by the particular ordinances of the local community, that if it was not bought by a certain time, it was not going to be permitted any longer to be a facility for racing. Bought in the midnight, late hours, they get the deal done, and they have slowly continued to make improvement, get bumps out of the groove, and make walls better, get bathrooms up to snuff, and start bringing concerts in beyond just drag racing. And they're a multi-racing facility. It's a circle track, and the front stretch serves as a drag strip. So they've got a lot of different things going on, and they've been able to work on both sides of the circle track and the drag strip. You definitely hope that when you have a change that it's going to move forward. That's the expectation. I will say this. One of the first things any owner, I think, needs to figure out when they buy a track, if the bathrooms aren't right, get the bathrooms right. And if concessions aren't right, get concessions right. If you can just have clean bathrooms and keep them up to date and have decent concessions, you're winning half the battle, I think, right there.
Yeah, and there's a comment by Jacob. He says, run on time. That is key. You have racers that are going to be there. They're going to be there all day, all weekend, whatever it may be, whenever you start your race. And exactly, run on time. These people are coming out, spending their weekends with their families or away from their families to come out and do what they enjoy to do. So I agree with you there. I know one thing for me, like you mentioned, the local circle track here in my backyard is ran by a club. And I always ask the question on my podcast in the group is a club ran track versus a promoter ran track, which one has the bigger outcome? Which one is promoted better? Which one is more organized? Which one, accommodates the racer, is there for the racers? Because we hear it all the time, and it's true. Without racers, there is no show. Shade over the stands, upgrade the toilets, better food options, and seated padding. But that's something like you said, Stan, over time you want to see this. You got to think, if you're coming in, I'm going to say a guy like myself, you come in, you buy a track. Hey, you might spend all your finances on just getting the track. So year one, hey, I may be doing this. Year two, I may be doing this. But over time, there's a lot of things that we could talk about and a lot of things that people want to see. But it was kind of cool reading this article, and they are gearing up towards the outlaw racing. They understand that their bracket racers are their bread and butter, and they understand that there's a lot more that track can do and provide for their community and their local racers. So it was just a great question, and a great article, I should say, that led to this question.
Right, and we're definitely in a day and time, I think, that most racing facilities, they cannot just be a racing facility. They've got to figure out, how do we use the land? Most time there's a lot of land. How do we use our restrooms, our bathrooms, our concessions, things of that nature, and we bring in other types of events when we're not racing? I think that's definitely got to happen with racing facilities. And a lot has to be said about just be creative, do something different. Find in your area, in your, hour, 2-hour drive radius of your other tracks, and even other tracks that aren't of your type of motorsport. What are they doing, and what can we do differently? Or how could we even work together? Why can't it be a package of Friday night circle track racing helps get you entrance into Saturday night drag racing and vice versa? Work it out.
And work together. And not only work together, but if you're at that track and you've been going for 10 years, you've been going to that track for 10 years, and now on the 11th year, you have a new owner. If there's downtime and you're sitting at your pits or you're sitting at your trailers, hey, go up and help, the new owners and say, hey, this is what we did before, to cut down, the prep time in between testing and qualifications, or this is what we did, to help the racer, to help the staff get their lunch break during, test 3 or whatever it may be. So instead of always sitting back at the trailer and saying, hey, this, go up and lend a hand and then say, now, next time you have something to say, they're more likely to listen to you. And I mean, it goes across the board with every track. I see it a lot, especially traveling in the North Dakota area and some of the Minnesota and Canada stuff. So it's just a lot that's going on. But the thing that's important is that we're keeping these tracks open. And the only way to do that is if, like you said, we all work together.
That's right. Well, look, man, let's bring on Wes Buck of Drag Illustrated, talk about the World Doorslammer Nationals and beyond here on Competition Plus Power Hour right after this word from Jerry Bickle Race Cars.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
Wes Buck, how are you doing tonight?
He's on his phone,
guys. I'm on my phone. I'm fantastic, guys. How are you?
Stellar.
Oh, wow. He brought the party tonight.
I'm drinking red wine. You guys, you want me to come on this deal at 8:30 at night? You're going to have to deal with me a little bit loosened up.
Come on, man. Stay healthy.
Oh,
Ducking and dodging.
I drank water earlier in the day. So I'm on to that.
All right, Wes.
Right now.
We're gonna slam. We're gonna get right into it.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
You got a big race coming up. Give us
really?
the details of this big race, because I've heard it. This is a big race. Let us know.
That's the rumor. Yeah, that's the rumor, man. First off, thank you so much for having me. Lee, Sam, you guys do a great job with this, so thank you for having me. But, and of course, shout out to Bobby Bennett at competitionplus.com for putting this deal together. But yes, the C-Tech Manufacturing World Doorslammer Nationals presented by Jegs coming up, man, a little over a week away, somehow, some way. March 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2021 at Orlando Speed World Dragway. We can't wait, man. We believe it's the best drag race ever. We really do. And I know I get a ribbon for that and people kind of roll their eyes or whatever, maybe look the other way. But I truly mean it when I say it. And I believe with every ounce of my being that we're putting together something that's truly special. And if you were there last year, I think you'll back me up. It's the best drag race ever.
So, Wes, on that best drag race ever, that hashtag y'all have got there and floating it around, look, I definitely think for the competitors, you've got it locked up. Man, the atmosphere was great last year. There's the payout. It certainly could be argued the best drag race ever for the competitors. But I want to know specifically, for the people in that area of Florida, how is it for the fan going to be that best drag race ever? Why should they buy your ticket opposed to a Gator Nationals ticket?
Well, to be honest with you guys, I that's not the way that I would ever want to promote something. To be honest, I know there are people out there that are probably going to have to make a decision, right? I understand, especially in this day and age, as you mentioned earlier, times are tough, things are weird. And I know that not maybe everybody has the disposable income required to, buy tickets to events that are a few hundred miles apart or whatever and back-to-back weekends. So I hope, I don't want to sway anyone necessarily. And I will say this, the NHRA Gator Nationals, the legendary East Coast opener, in my opinion, is the best race the NHRA puts on. To even be mentioned in the same breath as an event like that, to be honest, kind of gives me pause and has me a little choked up because I grew up going to the Gator Nationals. I truly think that's an event that is it. That's an it event. Does Pro Mod start their season there? The Pro Stock cars are going to start their season there this year. Their NHRA points earning season, that is. And to even be mentioned in the same breath as an event as legendary as the Gator Nationals is kind of hard to put into words. But I tell you what, I think that what you're going to have at the C-Tech World Doorslammer Nationals presented by Jegs is an experience you'll never forget. there's something special happening at Orlando Speed World Dragway with this event. The combination, there's a perfect storm, lightning in a bottle, whatever you want to call it, when you take that purse money, that track prep, that time of year, this group of racers, it creates something unique and different, something that you're not going to see at any other pro level drag race. And if you want an experience, something that you'll be telling your kids about, that you'll be reminding people that you were there. Like, I was there when that happened. Now you're telling that story, but I was there. If you want an experience like that, the Doorslammer Nats is where you're going to find it.
Hey, Wes, you got 2 questions coming in from the fans or the listeners, I should say, as we are interactive with them. The first question is, what are the ticket prices?
So we're selling single day passes for $25 a day, which are only available at the gate. We've been getting a lot of phone calls about this. We work with the fine folks at thefoat.com, Michael and his team. This is an incredible platform that has been so good for us as we roll into our second year with this event. Last year we did 0 pre-sales. We put the event together in a very short amount of time, 82 days from conception to execution. So we didn't have time to even try to do pre-sale ticketing. This year we wanted to do pre-sale ticketing, but we roll into the crisis that has been this COVID pandemic. So due to a bunch of not weird, but very rightfully in place regulations and policies that now exist with ticketing companies due to COVID, we elected not to sell general admission tickets in advance. God forbid there was some sort of federal lockdown or anything like that. I didn't want to be refunding hopefully tens of thousands of people's ticket prices or ticket money. So we thought we would control that by only selling VIP tickets in advance, which we have a very limited number of remaining. These are going to sell out. I know I sound like a salesman, but if you're coming to the race, throw down the money, $150. You're going to get VIP treatment, starting line access, primo parking. You're going to get a limited edition lanyard and VIP placard. You, of course, get admission to the grandstand seating, and it's well worth the money. If you're making the trip, I actually just saw someone, it melted my heart. Someone posted in the comments that they were making the trip from Oregon to our race next weekend. So if you're traveling any kind of distance, I would implore you to throw down the money, $150 a whack, to have an experience that you will never forget. However, if you do want to buy tickets at the gate, single day tickets are $25, or you can buy a 3-day full weekend pass for $70.
And to wrap up that question, someone else asked, will it be live?
The race?
Yes. Will it be on the internet?
So
yeah, people can watch
absolutely. FlowRacing.com. We have partnered with Mike Levy, James Lawrence. Everybody at Flow Racing has been fantastic. We partnered with them. We worked with Speed Video in 2020. They were recently purchased by FlowRacing.com, and there's a little bit of a rebranding going on. But the event, yes, absolutely will be streaming on FlowRacing.com live all 3 days starting Friday morning.
Stellar. We're definitely looking forward to folks being able to see it there, be there. I'm looking forward to being there. All right. Right now, you have got one of the largest, if not the largest, payouts for these type of door cars. It's what, 75 for Pro Stock and 50 G's for Pro Mod. Is that right?
That is correct, buddy. $75,000 to win in Pro Stock, $50,000 to win in Pro Mod, along with $10,000 to win in Comp Eliminator, $10,000 to win in Top Sportsman, $10,000 to win in Stock Super Stock, $10,000 to win in Factory Shootout, and $15,000 to win in Pro 632. So wrap your head around that. That's about $365,000 that we intend to throw down on Sunday afternoon.
Show me the money. Show me the money. I definitely hope there's another guy doing a burnout over all the money in the victory lane again. I definitely hope that happens again.
Never forget it, man. That was
yes, that was awesome. Now,
that was
with asking about the money, obviously, big money races, a lot of people come out. A lot of people want to compete. They want that opportunity to get that big payday and hold that big check. Well, what is the balance for an event having a big payout and having prestige? Does a big payout automatically bring prestige, or is prestige brought about through other ways, and how do you build it?
That's a great question. To be honest with you, I do think that they work hand in hand. I will say that you think about some of the most, and I don't know what's a great example. I mean, I just think about throughout time, there have been very, very many examples of when the bragging rights of winning something over overpowered any amount of money associated with it, right? I mean, there are certain titles that just, for instance, the heavyweight championship of the world, if you're a boxer or a mixed martial artist, there's not purse money. I mean, yeah, you're getting paid to compete, no question, but it's about the title, right? It's more about that 12 pounds of golden leather that you want to strap around your waist. That is a that's not, it's not a pile of money or anything like that. It's a title that is extremely valuable. So how do you marry those two together? Does one overpower the other? It's an interesting thing, but I'll tell you, it's an easy shortcut. And I say it all the time. Like if you want to get off to on the right foot, throw some money at it. I mean, in business, it's not always the answer, but I'll tell you, it sure helps. And if you want to get some attention quick, fast, and in a hurry, a dollar sign and a bunch of zeros behind it seems to do the trick. Now, I will say that I have found through experience, through some very painful experiences of my own, that it's not enough by itself. I do think that you can't just go all money, think that you can have everything else be shambles, a horrible venue perhaps, or a terrible time of year perhaps, or just an overall poorly promoted event, whatever. You can't just do money. It takes a marriage, a symphony. It's much like an engine. I mean, call up David Rare or somebody and start talking about, what makes an engine make the most horsepower. And a lot of times it's a harmonious relationship amongst a whole bunch of things, right? It's not just one item. You're not going to throw a cam in some engine and it just instantly make all this additional power. I mean, especially if it's like a max effort, finely tuned machine. It'll be a cam change and then a valve train change that goes along with that cam, right? I mean, it's a lot of things. So I don't know that you can just put a big dollar figure out there and have an event that breaks through, that cuts through the clutter, because there's a ton of clutter right now. I mean, there's never been a time in history where there's been more live events than there are right now. So it's a delicate thing, but a big, big, big price tag helps a lot, I'll be honest.
All right, and not to break up, the whole talk about this race that you've got going on, but Wes Buck, Drag Illustrated, the race stuff, that's extra, for you guys, right? But
Wait one second. Did that answer your question?
It did. Yes. That answered the question.
I was just like, Jesus, we're cutting people off, guys. No, I'm just joking. But like, don't you think, is that valid, Lee?
Yeah, I think it is valid that, yes, money doesn't bring all the prestige, but I like what you said. It's a shortcut to it. It can get the ball rolling, and that money over time and years, and you have those great moments that you just can't pencil in or pin in.
And don't you think it takes the test of time a little bit too? Like, I think we've gotten lucky. Like, if you think about last year, and I didn't mention this during my pitch to the fans, but like, I don't know if you were paying attention, Jeg Coughlin Jr. and Greg Anderson were welded door to door, running side by side 640s. I mean, you go ahead and find me a better show. Feel free. I'll wait. It's late. I don't got a lot else to do. Plenty of wine to drink. I mean, I'm ready. Please try to tell me what's better that you're not going to be able to. But it takes time, don't you think? Because we just talked about the Gator Nationals a minute ago. Like, what's that, 50 plus years, 60 years they've been doing that deal, these events. And that's one thing that I don't ever want anyone to think, because when I say the best drag race ever, when I say the biggest race ever, I mean that stuff. I mean it. But I'm speaking something into existence. You know what I mean? I'm making a proclamation of sorts of what I intend to do and will do. But I also don't want anyone to ever think that I don't have a tremendous amount of respect for the history of our sport, right? Because I don't think that the one thing that I think it's happening this weekend. Donald Long, here's a guy 12 years, man. I thought about this. I was going to pick up pizza for my wife and kids, and I'm going, I can't believe he's been doing that race for 12 years, over a decade. And I think that no matter what we do, we still have to stay the course over the long haul, walk instead of try to sprint, you know what I mean? And when we get walking pretty well, we'll start running, you know what I mean, or jogging. But I didn't want to. I thought that was an interesting thing, and we automatically switched gears. Sam running over top of you, Lee.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
I'm just trying to stick to schedule here, okay?
Hey, we
schedule.
Yeah.
We call our little
schedules
award
on my show. You guys, I don't do any schedule on my show. You guys can probably tell that. I decide how long we talk about something. I do. I make that decision.
We just don't want the boss man like, hey, he'll send us that message. Hey, it's time to wrap it up here. So
tell him to watch Sports Center. Tell him to watch Sports Center.
Okay.
Now the next, you're good to go, Sam.
All right. Just making sure I don't want to get hauled.
Yeah. I'm close to you. We're close. I can pick on you.
Oh, okay. 6.
Lee and I
That's all I'm going to say there. 6. But
that's true.
Talking Drag Illustrated, your bread and your butter. At what point, or no, I'm not even going to ask that question. Drag Illustrated now to where you started. Is this where you envisioned Drag Illustrated to get to, or are you just blown away by the steps and the leaps and the bounds that you guys have taken?
Well, I'll tell you, first and foremost, I feel super lucky and super blessed. I got a notification on my phone this morning that there was, like, you know how Facebook will suggest a memory. Here's a memory of yours, and I'm looking down at my phone, and it's a memory from 11 years ago, right? Of when I was in Qatar in the Middle East for the first time. And I was over there going drag racing, right? So to think about how far this thing has come in such a short amount of time, it is crazy, man. I mean, I was actually going through photos the other day for an editorial I was working on, and I found a photo of our first ever Drag Illustrated office, which was a chicken coop, quite literally, that we'd remodeled in Fort Dodge, Iowa. And I mean, like a legitimate chicken coop, like no step to get in it. You kind of had to hop to get up through the door. And I think about that, and no running water. I mean, I remember working all night on the magazine and just stepping outside to pee, staying up all night, eating bologna, cheese and bagel sandwiches. I mean, that's literally what we ate most nights of the week because we didn't have any money. Sleeping on a mattress covered in cat hair because my partner was like kind of a slob, and no heat in his house. So we had space heaters everywhere because he couldn't afford natural gas or propane or whatever. Like those memories, they're kind of like etched in stone, going through security and putting my phone on the tray and sending it through security. And then, talking captions to our graphic designer, like, hold on, put the phone on the tray, and it goes through the security thing, and I go through the deal, and I pick it up, and I put my shoes on, and I'm like, Darren Hoyle's red 69 Camaro launches off the starting line of the Outlaw Racing Streetcar Association shootout at Atlanta Dragway. His Gene Fulton powered blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm telling him what to type, as I go through airport security. Like, to think about all that stuff, and charging plane tickets on my mom's credit card, paying to park at the Winter Nationals. I mean, I remember the first time I went to the NHRA Winter Nationals. I didn't have a ticket. I bought one when I got there. I am walking around the pits, paid to park, walking around telling people about this magazine I'm going to start. Everybody's looking at me like I got 3 heads. Sitting in the grandstands taking pictures, but being embarrassed to publish them in the magazine, because I knew people would be able to tell that I took them from the grandstands. Yeah, man, it's been a wild deal. And to be putting on a race this coming, a couple of weeks from now, that you guys, not me, you guys were talking about making comparisons to the Gator Nationals. Man, it's as wild of a thing as I don't even know how to describe it, to be totally honest. And was this the vision? This was definitely the vision. And I look back on how I wish I had the courage of my younger self. I look back sometimes, I go, what was I thinking? The stuff I said and the things I did. But I'm super proud of it, man. I've been blessed. I've told this to many people, and I truly believe it. I'm not a rich man. I don't have millions of dollars or anything like that. We're doing all right, but I tell you what, I'm rich in people, and I have been rich in experiences. I've been so blessed to God has delivered to me one after another. Like throughout my entire career, every time I was faced with a problem, I was introduced to a solution in the way of a human being. Truly, when I couldn't figure out how I was going to get the magazine to look the way I wanted it to look and feel the way I wanted it to feel, I met Mike Carpenter, perfect stranger, met him in the tower at an NHRA national event in San Antonio, Texas in the spring of 2006, right? I mean, I met him when I didn't know how to take photos and I needed somebody to take pictures. I literally bumped into Jason Sharp, aka Bubba Smooth, who went on to shoot 44, I think, covers of the magazine in a row. I mean, I met this guy, I didn't know him from Adam, and the list continues and continues and continues. So did I ever think we would get here? I think I did. I think I believed it maybe more than I realized, but it's been a long haul. We got a long way to go, but I'm super proud of where we've gotten to. The fact that I went through our pre-entry list. I mean, I just got done texting Dan Fletcher. Y'all heard of the man? This is probably one of the greatest sportsman drag racers of all time. He just texted me. The fact that he even knows who I am will make me cry if I talk about it too much. And he just texted me that he's fixing to head to Orlando next week. And it was his way of telling me that he's coming to run my race. This is one of the greatest sportsman racers that have ever lived, that's won it all 1,000,000 times and then some. He's coming to run stock super stock at the World Doorslammer Nationals, right? I mean, Alex Laughlin is going on and on and on about trying to defend his title and go back to back. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Sorry, that was a long answer, but I had a lot to say about it.
No, good answer, man. Good answer. Well, Sam, look, we got to bring on the second guest, Terry McMillan. Wes, you hanging out with us?
I'm hanging out.
All right, after the break, folks, it's Wes Buck and Terry McMillan on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Terry McMillan, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. How about you?
Awesome, awesome. Good to have you on along with Wes Buck. And, man, Terry, definitely we hope that we hear some things turning around for you. But looking back, your 2020 highs and lows, talk to me about the highs. First number one qualifying there at, was that the U.S. Nationals or was it Indy 2? All those Indies run together.
Yeah, it was all kind of a blur, the whole Indy deal. But first off, I think I'm going to have to leave NHRA and go racing with Wes Buck and his group because they're paying some also big money out there to go out there racing. And what a great show it is, I'm sure. And but, we had a great year. Rob Wendland and my team, we just really came together, built a brand new car in-house, our first new car. And, we took it out there and took a little bit used to what it wanted. But after that, we figured it out, and that car was just flying. And would just go down. It would go down a dirt road. And, so we're really fortunate and really excited about the way the car performed. It's just unfortunate the season didn't play out the way we wanted it to, because I believe we'd have had the opportunity, for possibly a couple wins, maybe a win, maybe. But certainly, we were sitting fifth in points at that time. And, so it was a good push by our team, and hopefully we get to come back out there and relive that here shortly.
And the Gators mean something special to you. So now, rapidly approaching the Gators, what is the preparation? What is the feeling going into this new season for you?
Well, the real pressure for us right now is we don't have a sponsor going into the season. So at this point in time, Gainesville's not on our radar. Hopefully that changes. We're certainly, meeting with a lot of folks right now, and very very blessed and fortunate for that, at least for the opportunities. And so hopefully, in maybe in a week we can announce something if something comes together all the way, and then we will be in Gainesville. We have the cars ready to go. Everything we need is pretty much ready. I think we need to get some rods and maybe some wrist pins, but other than that, we're ready to go. And the biggest problem is we lost some of our team, but some of them we lost on the contingency program, that if we decide to go back racing, that they're working at now, they will be able to come back to our team. So because my team was really special. We all talk about family and on how rich family life is, but these folks are my family, and I spend more time with them, as we all do, than we spend with our own family sometimes. And so the bonding and the trust was just immense. And I hope and pray that we have the opportunity to go racing again, and more important, that we have the opportunity to get the same players back, because they're the ones that made this car work. And Rob, did a great job of guiding everybody and getting us to that position. And now it's up to us to just kind of figure out a way to get back out there and start that season in Gainesville. We're ready.
Also, Wes, if you have any questions, just jump in and ask away too.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot right now. Right?
Oh, yeah.
The whole world.
Yeah.
Jeezy peasy. Well, hey, I'll just say that if I ever get the opportunity to have someone like Terry McMillen come race with us, it would be a tremendous honor. I know that he is an incredible human being, first and foremost, but he's a fantastic racer and ambassador for the sport of drag racing, and it is an absolute shame and will be a tragedy if he's not able to compete at a high level. Our sport needs characters like this quite badly to transcend. It takes people like Terry, people that have kids like I have kids that watch YouTube all day and all night like my kids do. Like, it takes people that have relatable stories like him, people that are working all day and all night trying to live the dream. It's a tale that so many people in the world, especially right now, can relate to. So corporate America, if you're listening, guys like Terry McMillen need to go drag racing. Drag racing will sell your product. I promise you that. And I'll tell you, Terry, I want to ask a question. What would it take for someone like me? I've said before, you'll see Cruz Pedregon and Ron Capps go run that circle track deal in Tulsa, right? The Tulsa, what's it called? Chili Bowl? Chili Bowl. You'll see Ron Capps or somebody do like a celebrity go-karting thing or whatever. What would I have to do as a promoter to create a scenario where someone like yourself or a Ron Capps or a Matt Hagan would rent a pro stock car to go compete, or rent a pro mod car and bring a sponsor? I'm being serious, because how much money does it take? Because that's something that genuinely interests me. Like, if I have my druthers, there will be a day that the World Doorslammer Nationals is a moment where people such as yourself that know you've got the skill, right, and want to play ball will go find a program, rent a program, pay the money to go jump in a car for a prize like that. What does a promoter like me have to do?
Not a whole lot. First off, I'm going to say I owe you $50 for all those nice words that you said, because that was just amazing, and I'm really appreciative. But, you must have been talking to Richard Freeman, because he's been in my ear saying, hey, look, you need to come over and get in a pro stock car or a pro mod car. He says, we'll figure out something and we'll get you in one of those. And, I came from the Alcohol Funny Car days. And so, the pro mod is an interest to me from that standpoint. But certainly, if we could ever pull it together and make something happen where we could run one of his cars out there or something like that, I would be there in a heartbeat. I promise.
It's so interesting to me, because one of the things that I've always thought was a challenge for drag racing is that we've got all these classes and we've got our talent spread across all these different divisions. And what would it be like if we could bring yourself, Alexis DeGioia, Leah, to go race against Stevie Jackson, Ricky Smith, right? Erica Enders. God, can you imagine what that would look like?
We would look like a lot of fools, because those folks can drive those cars. Let me tell you a little bit.
I have a lot of faith in you. I've got a lot of faith in you.
I have a lot of help. I have a big wing that plants that car in the back end and makes it go straight. Those pro stock guys, man, they don't have nothing out there. They're just hanging out there in God's world, man. and just how they get it down the track the way they do all the time has always been incredible to me. Pro Mod, that's more up my alley. I like that big blower and all that, and they have a little more support, but it doesn't take much to get one of those out of shape.
No.
But certainly, it would be a great opportunity to do that, and I'd certainly really enjoy that. But right now, we just want to figure out how to get to Gainesville and make those things work. But I'll tell you what, if that time ever shows up, and between you and I, we could maybe work on Richard Freeman, and we can put this thing together.
I'm on it. Thank you guys so much, Terry. Be safe. Guys, I love you. I'm going to bounce. Thank you so much for having me. Terry, best of luck. I hope to see you in Gainesville, brother.
God bless,
Thank
man.
you, Wes. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And see, this is something here, Lee, and it was brought up by Wes and you, Terry, that I think we should dive into a little bit more. We talked about it with Alex not having a sponsorship for Gainesville, you not having this sponsorship for Gainesville. The work and the effort that goes into this during the off season, at the end of the season, during the season, to continue with the sponsorship. Can you go into a little detail of like the efforts and what it takes and what the deals, the countless hours of talking to people for these sponsorships? Can you go into a little bit of detail for the people out there so they can understand what it's like?
Well, as we all know, the time that we're living in right now is so different, with the new administration coming in, and then certainly, with the pandemic out there, it's really changed life as we know it. And so corporate America today is more reluctant to keep the money in their pockets right now. And unless they're the ones that were building the mask and hand sanitizers and things like that, they're just kind of holding tight and hanging on their money. To date, I think we've sent out like 366 resumes or decks, if you will, to people that we felt, would look at them and give us some feedback, with some communication. And so far, we've got some promises for next year, which is awesome. And but we don't really have anything locking us in this year. We're down to like our final 4 people that have, I would say, great possibilities and that can make this happen at the drop of a hat if they elect to do so. So it's just it takes a lot of work and team effort. I mean, not only the fans have been helping us, but my wife and all my friends, Elin, Jim Walzak, everybody's been putting this thing together, trying to help us get stuff to make it go out there so we can get it in the sponsors' hands and try to get that meeting with them. And basically all the meetings we're having anymore have been on Zoom, so we're not really getting the face-to-face like we used to have. But, it just takes a lot of time we personalize each deck that we send out. We send out a generic one to them just to see what their interests really are. And then we'll go back and we customize it with the logo on the cars and the fire suit and the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of time in there. And Jeff Colts is a good friend, and he's been the guy bailing us out, making all the artwork and basically doing it in less than a day, making all this happen. So I can't thank all the people that have helped us and how fortunate we are to be in this position to at least have the opportunity to talk to people, because from what I hear, a lot of people aren't even getting that opportunity. So right now we're just going to keep knocking on doors. It's not over yet. I've grown up, with the philosophy that persistence outweighs resistance. And if we continue to do that, sooner or later, our door is going to open and we're going to find ourselves racing in Gainesville.
So Terry, with, last year, you come out swinging, the performance is there, moving forward. You've got to, the announcement's made that Emily's not going to be playing ball any longer with the situation that they're in. And if I'm not mistaken, already this year, Emily still has it connected with the Gator Nationals. And from what I had heard with the announcement is that they were out of motorsports, like overall. So we're not going to see an Emily sprint car, Emily late model, on down the list. So was the Gator National thing like they already had a 5-year contract and they're still having to play that out? What's working out there?
Well, basically what they did to our contract and JR's contract, the monster truck, is they suspended our contracts. So basically we have 3 more years left on our contract, as well as what NHRA has 3 more years left on theirs. Now, there was some negotiation between NHRA and Emily to continue with this race. I really don't have the details on what that is. But I know that there was some serious negotiation on that because originally Amalie, wanted to perhaps pull out of the Gator Nationals as well as the, Amalie Arena. But those contracts are a little bit different than what ours were. And there's a little more penalty probably to that, you got to take a look at what the penalty is versus what the cost could be reduced to perhaps, and put something together that way. So I'm not sure of all the negotiations, but I know that there was a lot of negotiations to keep the Gators, because I really believe that in 2022, Amalie will be back into racing. I can't tell you what level, because, right now you got to look at 400 billion people didn't drive to work last year, which meant a lot of oil wasn't getting sold. A lot of gas wasn't, being used. And so sales were down. And so, when you have to lay off employees and things like that, it's kind of hard to justify, having a race car go down the track. And I understand that. And I think, with the family of the Amalie and ourselves, we have a mutual agreement that that's what it was going to be. Going forward, it can change next year. And we certainly are very, very hopeful that they'll be back at some fashion. But I don't know what that's going to be at this point.
So looking at, the racing, looking at the things that you've been through, and I always hesitate to ask this question, but you've kind of experienced it a little bit more than other drivers. The big boom, the explosion. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but to draw that picture, I mean, we've seen it on NHRA, we've seen it on YouTube. What is that feeling like? You're going down the track, you're on the pass, you're mentally in the same state, and then boom. What is that like?
It's extremely violent, when that happens. I mean, it's, we had that bad one in Houston where, the car blew up and then it came apart and then cut a tire down. And I knew Tony was next to me. So, we kind of headed towards the wall to keep it over that way to stay out of his way. But, it's just amazing percussion of that. And when those things happen, it's just so violent and so powerful. You think about this is that, unfortunately, nitromethane is a big bomb, and that's basically what it is. And when you look at what nitromethane can do, such as the Oklahoma City, where they level the building with some nitromethane, that kind of gives you the idea of what this fuel is all about. And it's very, very dangerous. It's very, very safe if you know how to use it, but the explosion is devastating. And in that case in Houston, not only do we lose a race car, but you figure when that happens, the blower's no good, the block's no good, everything is pretty much junk out of that. So you pretty much write off $160,000 in a matter of milliseconds. And you're just trucking that down the track and everything's going real well. You don't feel anything happen, and then all of a sudden this big bang comes up and literally tries to lift the car off the ground. So it makes your head hit the dashboard. It's just amazing as tight as we are in that car. And I promise you, I can't get my hand between my seatbelts and in there at all. And when these bangs happen, it still finds a way of throwing you all the way against the steering wheel. So it's violent, it's powerful, and it's unfortunately we've had some experience with that. But all I can say is now I got a program right now that we don't experience that anymore. And man alive, what a difference! Because I mean, a few years back, I was walking away from racing. I was buying new parts and we put them on the car. We were racing them, and the first pass down the track, we would blow these parts up. I didn't even pay for them yet, and now all of a sudden I need even more parts. And so I was going to walk away, and the fans brought me back, and their encouragement and just the fact that I don't believe in quitting anything, it drove me harder. And like I said, we're fortunate now to have a very great team. And I can't say enough about Rob Wellen and the whole entire team, because they've put us in a safe car. We don't have mistakes. We don't have things falling off the car when we go to the starting line. And when we hit the gas, the car in the other lane knows that they're going to have a race on their hand.
They definitely did have races on their hands in 2020 for sure. And I know whenever you're back, the competition level from your team, it will be out there. You spoke of contracts with Amalie and all the negotiating. I've been privy to some contract information with being tied so closely to strutmasters.com and Chip Lofton. What do you think contracts are going to look like after COVID? Is there going to be like COVID clauses in these contracts? Are they going to be more flexible than ever? What do you predict?
Well, I think they're going to be very, very, I'm not even sure it's worth signing because, I mean, everybody's, this whole COVID thing has really, really changed everything we do, as we all know. And I think that, looking at it now, there's going to be these clauses in there that anything, any kind of trauma, I guess, in the country and the world was going to give them perhaps the right to cancel or terminate or suspend contracts. I think that I'm not even confident that people will go many, many years in the contract where, Amley, we've always worked on a 3 or 4 year contract. I've been with them 19 years, great company and all that. But it changed when COVID hit and it was devastating to us because we're the ambassadors for Amley, and that was pretty much the only partner we had. I mean, we have a lot of associates on the car, but don't get me wrong, they're super important, and I couldn't have done it without them. But Amley was the main bread and butter to get the car to the racetrack and pay the payroll. And so when we lost that, it was devastating. And and so it's certainly a direct reflection of COVID. And I believe that contracts are certainly going to be written different today going forward.
So looking back, I was kind of doing, a little homework. You have a really good story of getting your driver's license back in the day. Getting that driver's license. Tell us what that experience was honestly like.
It was pretty cool. Like I grew up in Chicago. So when you turn 16, you can get your license that day. So it was a Friday and it was my birthday. And my mom was kind enough to get out of bed and have me at the license bureau at 8 a.m. And I was the first one in line and I couldn't wait to get my license. Been playing with cars and kind of driving for quite a while. Anyway, so it was just time to do that. And plus I grew up in the muscle car era. Everybody had fast cars, and so anyway, I got my license. It was really cool. My mom let me take the car. My mom and dad let me take the car out that Friday night. And what I do, I went to the drag strip. And so I had a driver license for one day because when I got home Saturday, my parents grounded me, took my license away, and the rest is history. It just they were trying to teach me to stay away from the drag strip. It didn't work. It's what I love. It's what we're good at. And I just love the fans. And I really just love everything about drag racing. It's the locker room's wide open. You get to visit with the drivers. You get to watch the crews work on these cars. You get a sensory overload like you get nowhere else. And so I knew at a very young age, this was my thing and this is what I was going to do. And actually it started before that because, I was probably not the greatest student because I knew that I was going to race cars at a very young age. And I know this might throw you guys back because you're a whole lot younger, but back in the day, all there was rag magazines, So I had every one of those, and those were my school books. That's what I went to school with. That's what I took to each class with, and that was my thing. I didn't really care about the rest of this at all. And I had this teacher in 8th grade or 7th grade that actually said, "Look, you know what? I don't know. You're sitting here, you're doing nothing but reading these magazines. Let me give you an opportunity. You read a magazine, you write an article on it, and you give me the magazine, and I'm going to read it. And if I'm going to grade you on that, I'm not going to grade you on the traditional stuff. I'm going to grade you on this." And she did. And from that day on, it really kind of turned my life around because it was something someone seen that I had an interest in something, and it wasn't traditional interest. And so she let me write articles all year long on racing and all those magazines, and I was giving them to her, and she graded me on that. And man, I went through that class. I left her with a B+, and it was just amazing. And from that day forward, she helped set the path that I was on to go racing and work at it. And growing up, you realize that while drag racing is extremely important, it's all I want to do. and that you still have to have the fundamental skills. You know, you have the math and the reading and the writing capabilities and all those things. So, you know, I started working hard on that because I was, you know, watching the Snake and all these guys get all Mattel and all these sponsors out there. And I'm thinking, you know, how the heck are they doing that? And so after a period of time, you just start learning and you start figuring it out yourself. And I've never had the money to pay anybody to do it for me. So we just learned how to do it ourselves. And you know, here we are today. So it's we're very fortunate. It's been an amazing road. And all I can say is, you know, kids, you should be in bed right now. But if you are up, finish school, because it's important. No matter what you do, you got to drive towards perfection.
Well, kudos to that teacher for opening up that door and allowing you to do it that way. I definitely think in education there needs to be more flexibility like that for folks with interests such as in hot rodding. Now, Terry, you are undeniably a fan favorite. So what is your philosophy on fan involvement and connecting with them, and how have you built that fan base? And I say that knowing that I think you're a pretty cool dude, because I remember when I walked up to you the first time and I got an interview for Competition Plus after you qualified #1, and then we were back for another Indy and I'm walking through the lanes and you're like, hey, big shade guy. And, you know, you're not one of those drivers that just like overlooked this little media dude you actually recognize. So how does that transfer to the fans as well?
Well, I think it's what it's all about. You know, what we have to look at is that for me, I want every fan that walks in that gate to have a sensory overload. I want them to enjoy our sport. I want them to understand our sport. And we do everything we can. We put, you know, when we're not running the car, we put kids in the car to get their picture taken. Parents come up along the car, they get their picture taken, all in our pits. We take tours at times, you know, when it's convenient, through our pits, you know, just kind of let people understand what's going on. And it's really amazing to me because, you know, they see it from the aspect that they just seen 2 cars go down the track. They've seen everybody coming back and working, but they don't realize what it takes to get the clutch pack ready and checking the fingers and what it takes to get the cylinder heads ready and all those things. And what Rob's doing up in the office, looking at the computer screen, and you take them in there and you do a tour with them, and then they come out of there just shaking their head and say, how do you guys do that in an hour? And, so it's just all about relating to the fans. And ultimately, there's a lot of reasons for that, because one, I love people. And I love the fans at a race because we're doing what we all want to do. We're racing, and they're coming out there to enjoy the race. And so it doesn't take much to have everybody leave your pits with a smile on their face. And that's my goal. And if I can do that, then I've done my job. And I just I want to be a great racer, but I also want to be one that is recognized by the fans, and also want to be courteous to everybody I meet. I've never met a stranger, and I really believe that the key part for Amalie doing well and other companies doing well is not just because of who I am. It's because I relate to people and they like that. And then they go out and they buy our products. And if anybody knows racing, especially drag racing, they're the most product loyal people out there. And we're all very fortunate for that, because it's amazing to me. If you have Amalie on the side of the car, they want to know where they're going to go buy Amalie oil. And I tell you what, you can't replace that. And that's the cheapest form of advertising that you can get. But more importantly, the pass on of that is just, tremendous. So my goal is to touch everybody that comes in that gate and do everything we can to make them happy, leave there smiling. And if they do that, then I've had a great day.
Cool deal.
And with you being relatable to the fans and everything, you have this story with your youngest, Cameron, that, I've seen him at PRI standing next to his car and, out in the pits with a different color wild hair and everything like that. But something that I always want to know is, how do we continue this sport to grow? How do we take that next step so our kids and our kids' kids can still enjoy what we love today?
And that's a great question, because it's really tough out there. But the one thing that I really enjoy about drag racing is because, one, you can start at a very young age and drive junior dragsters. And that does a lot of things. One, it's a great tool for their schoolwork, because if they keep their grades up, they can go racing the next weekend. So that's really, really important. It's a great motivator. Family time, you're out there working in the car with them. It's like Cameron's job is to spend 2 hours a week out there in the shop when it comes race season working on his car. which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but I mean, for a 7-year-old, that's quite a while. And but he likes working on the car, and today we were putting a turbo on a 73 Nova, and he was out here running the impacts, getting everything out and putting it on there with me. And I enjoy that because it's not only it's teaching him a lot of lessons, how to work on things, how to be good with your hands, and at the same time, how to think through things so that you make the right move when you're building something or putting something together. And those are things that only can come with time, with the family, working side by side and doing that. And, my wife, Corey, has been extremely supportive to our racing, Cameron's as well. And he's done a great job. And I think that certainly we need to figure out ways of getting this more people into this sport, because it's super, super exciting. And more importantly, these kids can have a blast. I think they have a couple races a year where there's 600 to 800 junior dragsters showing up to compete for 4 or 5 days, and that's amazing when you think about that. And it's good for the kids because not only do they have the opportunity to go race their car and work on their car, but then they also have free time where all the kids get together and do different things. And so I think that drag racing is the only one that delivers it that way. And I think that if people take a look at what these juniors are doing, and we need to get them more time, more TV time, more whatever time, so that the fans can understand that there's something out there for their little Johnny or little Susie to go out there and do on weekends if they want to do that. Because there's a lot of great young ladies out there racing and young men out there racing right now that have become pros. I mean, you look at Leah and look at Sean Langdon and all those folks. I mean, these guys started out there, and today, I mean, they're great drivers. They do a great job, and so it just helps building our sport. But it all starts, you got to start in the junior dragster, and you work your way up through the brackets, bracket racing, and learn how to do all these things, and then you just keep working your way up until you find your spot, whether it's a fuel car, pro stock, pro mod, whatever it may be. But just be out there doing it, man. That's what it's all about.
Terry, my last question for you of the night. Thank you for being on Competition Plus Power Hour. From your perspective,
brother, let's go.
All right. From your perspective in Top Fuel, what has the NHRA got right, and what does the NHRA still need to work on?
It's a tough question when you look at it. There's so many things that they've done a great job with, and the one goal that they have is to try to maintain parity between the cars, So, it used to be a few years ago, there was a big gap between number 1 and number 16 in the qualifying list. And today it's not. It's like pro stock. I mean, they're within a few thou of number 1 and number 16, where anybody can win the race. So they've stopped a lot of things of coming in and driving the cost up. They're not approving a lot of new parts, new cylinder heads, new blowers, stuff like that. They're just trying to maintain what they have and everybody run what we have and try to stay in this guideline, if you will, so that the sport doesn't get any more expensive. I think the things that scare me a little bit is that, they're trying to figure a way of controlling the cost, which we need to do that. But at the same point in time, we can't go making wholesale changes where, you got to put a smaller pump on, or you got to put a different set of cylinder heads with different valves in it, or different, bore, because all it's going to do is take the small teams like myself, the Clay Millikins, perhaps Tim Wilkersons of the world, and it's going to drive us out of business because we don't have the funding to buy those parts. So we got to be really, considerate of the Terry Haddocks and all of us that are on the lower side of things, let's just say, where financially we couldn't afford that big hit. And now after the virus being around, I'm not sure any no team can afford it right now. John Force or Don Schumacher, they're all in the same boat we all are. And I think that's kind of bringing the field together. I think that now you're seeing there's so much more parity because, the development of new parts and all those things are not being approved. And I think that, kudos for that. And, I just hope that they consider everything in making decisions and how it's going to impact, the top-notch teams as well as the bottom teams, because you don't want to lose any more teams. We don't want to be running an 8-car field. Our sport has been built on a 16-car field, and we need to continue with that. And if they continue at the rate they're going. And they've been talking to everybody. They're asking questions. The new chassis changes that they made, I think, are really great. Rob Welling came up with that on our car coming into this year or last year, where we went into the bigger tubing and made it safer. And now, they kind of implemented that rule going forward. So I think they're doing a lot of great things. It's a thankless job because every time they make a rule change, 9 times out of 10, it's going to cost somebody some money. And, and we got to try to minimize those expenses. So it's a thankless job. I think for the most part, they're doing well. I just think the scary part is how they, want to approach going forward and trying to control the costs. But like I said, right now, they've been doing a great job of talking to everybody, the team owners and the crew chiefs, and making those decisions. And so hopefully it continues at that rate, and we're all going to be okay.
Well, Terry, it's been a lot.
It's about time, man. Where you been?
Hey, didn't want to show them off too early, but didn't want to come in too late.
Well,
but
all right.
go
this way now. All right.
See?
Oh,
Yeah, man after my heart. Got different styles, different shade colors.
But like we said, we hope that you do get, someone to step up. If there's anything that, we can do to help, but whoever does step up, they know that they will get someone who is going to give them their return on investment, someone who is out there for the fans that are going to give everyone a pit pass and do the right thing. So thank you again for your time here on the Power Hour with all the great questions and all the great answers. But hopefully we'll see you 2021, and we will see you in the winner's circle soon.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it, man. And wait, Bobby Bennett supply those glasses, or what's up with that?
I brought him my own.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, I'm going to talk to him.
hey, if you get a pair, you let us know because, yeah.
I hear you. We're talking Bobby here. Come on.
He gets the slammy. He gets the slammy for tonight.
So when we see you, you get to take a picture with the slammy. I agree with that one, Lee.
That comment wins it right there.
All right, great. Sounds good, guys. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, Terry.
All right, bye.
See, you see there, Sam. The shades just set the tone. You see,
they bring out the best in the people.
They do.
They do. Talking about the shades, Lee. Have you noticed we're in episode 16? We don't get that random pick up the shades comment anymore. It's kind of nice, right? You've got the Ron and Ron show a couple of weeks ago, and they're sipping on wine. Wes comes on tonight sipping on wine. We're slacking.
Hey,
we really are.
People coming out and having a good time on the show. I will say this. I have to completely agree with Wes Buck. I would love to see the World Doorslammer Nationals become an event where you do see a Ron Cap step in a door car. You do see a Terry McMillan step in a pro stocker. And I also hope that eventually we figure out a way that someone has enough money and they put it on there where, like some of the big dirt track races, if you win a certain number of them, like it's a bonus points and it's bonus money. I want to see that. Like if you can go out there and win Wes Buck's race, if you can go out there and win a Donald Long race, if you can go out there and win the U.S. Nationals, and it's like multiplied, like you get a big check. Big.
Oh yeah, hey, like this All-Star weekend that I keep bringing up. I don't know. Maybe I need to write some ideas on a cocktail napkin, because that seems like all these big races that we hear about. Yeah, right. It's all written down. I got to stop using the journal. I got to stop using, the printer paper. I need to. Here, actually, I got some napkins. These are from McDonald's. Don't tell anybody.
That's even better. That's even better.
So maybe I should start writing ideas down there, and who knows? Maybe we can have a competition plus all-star point series.
Tricycle race, all-star tricycle race.
No, it's got to be so if you go on dirt, you get so many points, and then it's traveling points over the year, and then at the end of the year, you take the top 5 in points, and you say, okay, here's a weekend. We can even go down. We can go down to Vegas and do it because they have the dirt track and the drag strip and the autocross all right there.
Right. And yeah, I don't know who's going to fork the money for that. I don't know, but somebody's out there. Do it.
It's on a napkin, man. Got to write it down on a napkin, and it happens.
It's gonna happen.
Lee,
Hey, man, look.
What's going on
Thursday
with
night.
Thursday night?
Yeah, between the slicks, my show.
Yeah,
we're going to be talking some drag racing early on, and then Corey Stamper of Spooled Media, he will be on the show. We'll be talking about the upcoming The Thaw Out No Prep drag race at Darlington Dragway. They're going to reverse it and race on the shutdown area. He's going to be on. I'm going to be chatting with him about that. Let us know about your show, and Sam, shut it down.
Well, first, Stan, I agree with you. Alex Laughlin has done that already. He is, the most versatile of the racers, but you got to give it to Ron and some other racers. But on my show, we're actually switching it. Usually we premiere it on Thursday morning. It usually is when it drops, but we're going to have a guest on who is the race promoter and the president of the Williston Basin Speedway Club, Jake Nelson, and the driver of the stock car 10 in machine, that again is Jake Nelson. We will have him on the show. Speaking of the local IMCA circle track racing for my local racers, and that is on In the Groove podcast with your host Slammin Sam. Again, everybody, this is the Competition Plus Power Hour. If you guys have any questions for us, please email us at powerhourcp@gmail.com for myself, Lee, and for Jeff Arend, our pit insider. But again, everybody, Competition Plus, we are on all your major podcast platforms. That way, when you're heading to the races, you can listen to these back. We enjoy you guys in the comments. Thank you guys for liking and listening to what we have to say, and our guests, Wes Buck and Terry. Thank you guys for coming on. This is another episode of Power Hour brought to you by Competition Plus. I'm Slammin Sam with my co-host, Lee, the Monday Morning Racer. Please check out all of our own stuff, but I'm signing out. Peace.